morning and welcome to the Point. It is Monday, April 12th, 2021. Thank you to those of you joining us across the various GBN platforms. In the interest of time, I will skip naming them, but thank you so much for joining us. I have joining us virtually this morning is the director at the UWI Seismic Research Center, Dr. Erouscilla Joseph, and she's here to give us an update in relation to the eruption currently taking place at Le Soufrière volcano. It's going to be a short interview as the events unfold today. Of course, you know, we have to keep flowing and she has to get back to doing the duties of monitoring the volcano. So we're going to say good morning to Dr. Joseph and thank her for joining us this morning. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Good morning and thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. So up until this morning, we understand that there was the largest earthquake eruption recorded at the volcano this morning at 4:15. Since then, it's just been about almost 5 hours. What are some of the latest happening over the past few hours?
So we're continuing to see seismicity associated with the volcano. These are mainly in the form of the volcano tectonic earthquakes and long period earthquakes that, were being seen prior to the eruption and throughout since it started on Friday.
From the information that UWI sent out this morning, they noted specifically that they've seen, let me make sure I have it right, pyroclastic. Pyroclastic. Exactly what does that mean in terms of comparing this time to the last set of eruptions since Friday?
Okay, so since Friday, what we were seeing was essentially ash columns being generated, vertically above the volcano, and then the fallout of ash associated with that, and then the plume being sent out to sea. Predominantly to the west from the higher upper level winds. So that's how Barbados and so on got affected by the ash. But what happened this morning was more of a Pilean type eruption where it generated not just an ash column, but it generated pyroclastic flows. And these are the PDCs that we're speaking about, the pyroclastic flow and surges. So this is hot gas and ash and ballistics that have flowed down the flanks of the volcano, predominantly on the south side and the southwestern side, towards the Walibu area.
And with the dome collapse, what does that mean for the progression of the eruption at Le Soufrière, and how will this affect what happens going forward, if it will?
Okay, so I'm glad you used the term dome collapse because that's not what happened.
Oh.
So the dome hasn't collapsed.
That's the information we've been seeing this morning. Okay, so what exactly happened?
Yeah. So in some ways, yes, in some ways. Okay, so what has happened is the dome that was the new dome that built up since December of 2020 to 2021, that effusive dome, and the old 1979 dome, so all of the new dome as well as the bulk of the 1979 dome have been destroyed, right? That was destroyed by the eruptions that began, some of the eruption that began on Friday and then has been ongoing. So a new vent has now been developed in the area where the old 1979 dome was. So that material was destroyed. So when we say dome collapse, that the dome didn't collapse. It was that material that's been spewing into the ash from the eruptions that began on Friday. All of that, it was incorporated into the material that's the volcano has already spewed out. So only the PDCs this morning were considered were flows that came off the flanks of the volcano. So there was no dome collapse per se.
Okay, understood. And with what is happening now, and some of the information I've seen over the weekend as well, state that the progression of the eruption it mirrors what took place, the deadly eruption in the early 1900s. Is this really what's taking place, and what does that mean for us in terms of what's next to come?
So yes, you're absolutely right. The type of activity we're seeing now is similar to the 1902 eruption, but I think that what is happening now is that there's a lot more ash than was seen then. and of course ash affecting the southern part of the island. So in terms of what can happen next, more of the same type. It could be the same type of activity that we've already been seeing. This can continue to happen in the coming days to weeks.
And speaking of the ash fall continues to affect various Caribbean islands, including us here in Grenada. We've seen some ash fall as well. And one of the questions that members of the public had, with at least this morning, somebody was asking about ash fall on vegetation. How safe is it to consume fruits and vegetables affected by ash fall?
Well, I think it's dependent on the amount of ash. So if it's heavy ash fall, definitely it's not safe to consume. But how do you differentiate between a very light dusting? You can't really differentiate from normal dust. That is, that's a challenge that you'll have. But certainly in Grenada, I don't think it's a concern. But certainly in Barbados and St. Vincent, the agricultural produce would not be usable.
And how will the ash affect our soil? That's something that I'm seeing information about as well in the long term, at least long-term benefits, but short term.
Right. Long-term benefits will include soil fertility, but that is as the ash breaks down and it's accumulated, organically into the soil.
And short term, what are the dangers of short-term ash?
Short-term ash, but this does not apply to Grenada because you're just getting a light dusting, but more so the Barbados and St. Vincent. Short-term implications of the ash is that it is a hazard and it needs you need to try to clear it off as much as possible, prevent it from accumulating more than several inches on roofs and infrastructure, because if it gets wet and there's rainfall, it becomes heavier, almost like a cement, and it can the weight of it increases, so it can cause collapse of roofs and other structures, can cause damage to your power lines and of course contaminate your water supply and that sort of thing,
which we're seeing as well. In terms of monitoring what you've been seeing so far and comparing to the 1902 eruption, what are the chances of the entire island of St. Vincent needing to be evacuated? Because we see the ash fall stretching far down into the green zone as well.
So with respect to the actual main hazards from this volcano, in terms of those that could cause loss of life, those are mainly at the moment concentrated in the red zones and the fringes of the orange zones. So it really is the ash. So in terms of being uncomfortable with the ash in the south of the island, in the green zone and the yellow zones, this would be the primary challenge. But in terms of needing to be evacuated based on the ashfall hazard, the entire island, that is not something that is likely. But it is a real challenge to deal with the amount of ash, because it means that electricity, they will have no electricity, the water systems and sanitation systems will be disrupted and so on. So that is the challenge, really. That will, not so much the volcano itself, but the ash hazards will kind of dictate what happens in terms of the ability to cope with that in the green and yellow zones.
Lava flow. The reports that we're getting we're seeing the explosion, the pyroclastic flows. What about lava, which I think is the most feared of a volcanic eruption? Is that something that we can expect to see? Is it happening already, whether on a small scale or so?
Well, remember, lava is magma. So right now, in December, the lava was being extruded and it built a dome. That's the small dome you were seeing. But our types of volcano doesn't show lava flows, such as you would see in Hawaii and Iceland. We don't have that type of magma. Our magma doesn't flow very far from the conduit, from the vent. So yes, that can happen, but it'll be just building up in the area around where the vent is on the summit of the volcano.
Okay, I understand now. A question on the WhatsApp. In the event that water does become contaminated with ash, will boiling it before drinking be the way to go, or just abandon it completely?
No. It's not usable because the ash could leach. The chemicals in the ash could leach into the water, and still, and of course, heating that would even encourage leaching. So no.
Okay.
Use potable, other potable supplies, water stored that is not exposed to the ash, or bottled water.
Okay, we're winding down because I know you have to get back. But there is a question about how far below ground does the volcano stretch? How wide is the below activity that we can't see? Do we have that information?
No, we can't see. We could get some estimates by the depths of the seismic signals, and we're seeing seismic signals between 10 and 15 kilometers. That's as much as the seismic, in terms of what we're noticing right now, in terms of the upper level seismicity that we're seeing. But we can't, we can model the plumbing system by a combination of tools, but that's modeling. So we can't see. There's no way to see unless you use other tools which can't be used right now given the conditions there, such as things like tomography and that sort of thing.
Understood. Evacuation. Up until yesterday, I saw they were still evacuating people from the red zone. Are there still people putting up resistance? Is this still a problem in the red zone specifically, and even in the orange zone as well?
I am not certain how many people may still be there. I don't think it's a lot, and certainly this morning's activity should, I think, they would have seen it themselves if there's anybody left, and they would know that really and truly you need to get out now. And
finally, Dr. Joseph, anything else that you'd like to share with us as we close off? I know I need to let you release you.
Sure. Just to reiterate that this volcanic system of La Soufrière is not connected in any way to Kikam-Jenny. There's a lot of misinformation being shared, and we encourage people to follow the official sources of information for correct information, and not to share misinformation without verifying from the original sources.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joseph. And what's next in terms of the eruption? What are you anticipating? Although it's hard to predict what will take place, but what's next?
Unfortunately, more of the same in the coming days to weeks.
All right. Appreciate your time, Dr. Joseph. Thank you so much for sparing us some minutes, and I'll let you get back now to monitoring La Soufrière, and we shall keep in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. That was Director at the UE Seismic Research Center, Dr. Erouscilla Joseph. I think let's take a break, and then we're going to come back and hear some of your thoughts as it relates to La Soufrière volcano and what we are seeing, what we can expect. This is To The Point, GBN Classic. We'll be right back.
COVID-19 spreads from person to person through the droplets that are produced when someone coughs or sneezes, which makes it easy to spread between people in close contact. Now let's get prepared to stay healthy. To reduce your chance of catching or spreading COVID-19, practice these simple everyday preventative measures. Droplets can also land on surfaces, so ensure that you wash your hands frequently for a minimum of 20 seconds or sing the happy birthday song twice. Avoid touching your face, especially your eyes, nose, and mouth. If soap and water are not readily available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with an alcohol content between 60 and 90%. 70% is ideal. When you cough or sneeze, cover your nose and mouth with a flexed elbow or a tissue. Dispose of the tissue immediately and then wash your hands. Notice someone has a fever and cough or other symptoms of respiratory illness, avoid close contact when possible. Let's all do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. Our health is our collective responsibility.
No, that's not how you cross the pedestrian crossing.
Really? One day I just woke up and I saw pedestrian crosswalks on the road. No one really showed me how to use them properly.
Well, this is how it's done. You never cross before doing these things. They might save your life. First, when you get to the crosswalk, you stop. You look left, you look right. If there's a vehicle coming, you put your hand out, making eye contact with the driver, indicating that you want to cross. And only when the vehicle comes to a complete stop, you quickly cross to the other side.
Stop, look, hand out, eye contact. Wait for pedestrian to cross to the other side, then you happily continue on your journey. This message is brought to you by this group of insurance companies, the Traffic Advisory Body, and the Traffic Department.
Welcome back to The Point. We are going to now open the phone lines, 435-2041. That's WhatsApp. It's also the landline number. Please, only written messages on WhatsApp. And you can also continue to post your comments, questions, queries, concerns on the social media. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't even care about what people think of what I'm going to say. Every one of us have a right to be concerned about something we do not have all the facts about. For example, the volcano that have erupted in St. Vincent. So when someone says we shouldn't be concerned, I cannot comment on that, but I feel this is not something you should say. We have to concern. But we may have great concern and we have little or no concern, but we must be concerned. Now, as far as I'm concerned, because you see, I'm using this word regular now. It become a pet. As far as I'm concerned, I would think that anything that is not normal, for example, you have excessive ash coming into Grenada and other parts of the other countries. Obviously, it would. I would use a word. I hope you would understand me. It would contaminate the type of materials in the air and the different types of materials in the air. So it would contaminate it, and nobody have an idea as to how deep down this volcano erupted. And according to the type of rocks that have been, I'll use a word, I hope everybody, emitted from the surface, on the surface of the earth, then you should have an idea as to how deep the volcano came from. And according to how deep, it would obviously produce or send up different types of material which are likely to have effects on people. So I am concerned. I'm not concerned that I would die now, but I'm concerned it's likely could contaminate me. That you may hear, somebody here, the man that does that attack shit, he died.
Oh, watch your language, watch your language. Thank you very much, caller. Have yourself a good day. Lord, apologies to... Oh. All right, somebody on Facebook. There is an Oswin Lewis on Facebook, and he commented on the Facebook page that he's a Canadian working in St. Vincent, living in the green zone, and he is pretty safe. And he is sending this message because he doesn't want friends and family to be too worried. So, friends and family of Oswin Lewis, a Canadian working in SVG and living in the green zone, he says he is safe and he does not want you to worry. So, I am passing on the information for just in case somebody is listening and may be able to let the rest of the family know. All right, so let me see if I can get to some of the comments on the social media as well before we wrap it up. Somebody on WhatsApp? No. Facebook. Somebody on Facebook was asking if you can use the ash as cement. From information that I've seen, and then I followed up on it because I thought it was a little bit sketchy. You can't use it as cement, but you can use it with cement. in terms of mixing the ash with the cement mixture, the gravel, the sand, the powder, water. You can mix it with the cement. It can help strengthen. It can help stretch as well your cement for whatever work you're doing. But you cannot depend on it wholly and solely for construction work, for projects. Let's see, somebody else was asking a question. I can't remember. Let me see if I can find it. Let me go to the phone lines in the meantime. Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Yes, there are 2 questions I wanted to ask. One.
I'll see if I can help. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was sorry that you were not able to ask any questions of the lady. You know? Yes. One, in the case of St. Lucia and Dominica, especially St. Lucia, are they affected? That's one question I wanted to ask. And the other question concerns the ash that's falling on our fruits and stuff like that. Do we have to wash our products? Like if, for instance, we have a mango or an orange, do we have to ensure that we wash these things before we use them? Or in the case of potatoes and so on, do we have to ensure that we wash these things? In other words, will the ash be toxic enough to hurt us if we fail to wash them before we eat them? I know we are supposed to wash, you know what I mean? But what I'm saying is that, like in the case of children, if they see a mango and they pick up the mango and they eat this mango without washing it, will it affect them? And the next thing I wanted to find out is how are St. Lucia in particular and Dominica affected? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. On social media yesterday, I saw reports coming out of both islands, St. Lucia and Dominica, of ashfall in their areas. It has not been as dense as Barbados based on wind direction. I sound like a meteorologist. Based on wind direction, it has not been as dense as Barbados has gotten it over the weekend. But I have seen reports of ashfall in Dominica and St. Lucia. It probably could be on the scale that we've seen in Grenada yesterday. It's not widespread. It's not the entire islands, and it's not heavy. But there have been reports of, let's say, minor ashfall in Dominica and St. Lucia. In terms of washing fruits, ash or no ash, wash them. That's the short of the story from what Dr. Joseph said this morning. In terms of St. Vincent and Barbados, it is not advised that you eat the fruits and vegetables because of the ashfall. But for us here in Grenada, where it's quote-unquote light, we can wash it out, rinse it out, and consume it. For the fruits and vegetables that we usually eat raw, like somebody was asking in the WhatsApp, like the lettuce and the cabbage and so, I would say be careful. Sucking a mango is one thing. You wash it off, you peel it, you eat what was covered. And those kind of fruits is, but potatoes, for most times, actually, we peel potato. So it's, you know what I'm saying? But for lettuce and cabbage, I'd say be cautious. If you want to be safe than sorry, I won't blame you. Right, let me see. I am just going through briefly until we can close off. Somebody's asking about relief. Most of relief items are being sent to and through the National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA. There are organizations that are doing it themselves. I recall the Rotary Club sending out some water yesterday. So there are organizations doing it themselves. If you're not sure who, just contact NADMA. Good morning, caller.
Yes, citizen. Well, greetings. Listen, I am concerned. But I like to get things straight from the horse's mouth. As it relates to whether or not we should wash our fruit, etc., and vegetables, and above all, how we should do it dependent on the level of contamination that we experience. I would like to suggest that you get in some people from the Food and Nutrition Council and even the produce, the laboratory, produce chemist or chemist produce laboratory. I can't recall the exact. So that these people, professionals in the field, can advise the people correctly and quite informedly how we should go about doing it and when we should consider desisting from eating our fruit and vegetables. Thank you very much and have a nice day, will you?
Thank you, Citizen Rollo, and agreed. I would endeavor to see if I can get somebody who can give me some more in-depth information so we can be guided accordingly. WhatsApp. All right, it's almost time for me to close off. Yes, I know it's short, but considering how it is happening in St. Vincent, yes, it is expected. Somebody on the WhatsApp is asking what are the urgent needs. From the reports I'm getting out of an organization in St. Vincent that has been on social media over the weekend, the urgent needs are water and hygiene kits. I'm assuming tissue paper, toilet paper, sanitary napkins, soap, maybe toothbrush, toothpaste, that kind of thing. Those are what are the urgent needs from residents in St. Vincent, from what I'm seeing on social media. If I get other information, I will surely pass it on. Has there been any casualties? As of this morning, no casualties have been reported. However, officials in St. Vincent are concerned that there are still people in the red zone, which is in the immediate vicinity of the volcano, some of whom have refused to leave. There were some people who stayed in the red zone when the evacuation order was issued on Thursday. They stayed in the red zone, and when the explosive eruption started on Friday, then they realized that they needed to leave. So there were boats traversing the area, the coastal parts of the area, evacuating some of the people in the red zone. That was on Friday. On Saturday, however, there are still people who do not want to leave the area. I remember one man saying he does not want to leave his animals, and I don't know what's the excuse of the others, but there are people in the red zone, and that's where the concern is in relation to casualty. Most people have been evacuated from the red and some from the orange zones, but there are people who refuse to leave, unfortunately. I guess they were hoping for the better of bests, the bests of better, and they refused to leave. Should we be concerned about Kikem Jenny? As Dr. Joseph said, we should not be overly concerned, or should I say the activities in St. Vincent would not have an effect on other volcanoes across the region, not just Kikem Jenny, Kikem Jack, Mount St. Catherine, Granitang. Dominica has a lot of volcanoes. They are not linked. They are not connected. It is not a ripple effect that would take place. So because La Soufrière is erupting does not mean we should. It would affect others. If in the event another volcano from a Caribbean island starts to show activity, coincidence, not connection. And that's from Dr. Joseph, as well as the information they've been providing on social media, because people have been asking as well. Okay, I think this is where we can close off. Just answer that Kikem Jenny question. This is where we can close off the program. I'm just making sure there are no other questions that I can answer with the knowledge that I have. Again, I'm not an expert. I did not study volcanism. But that's just the information. I've been following these things and reading up on the information, taking them from trustworthy sources, UE Seismic Research Center, because I know how the programs go. People usually call for information, so I try to educate myself as much as possible so that I can share the knowledge that I have with the viewers and listeners who may ask. So it's not that I'm talking and I'm making up as I go along. I research and read specifically because, well, one, I'm inquisitive, and two, because of my job. So I share the information as they come to hand when I have it, if I have it. If I can't answer, I'll let you know I'm not sure. Okay, so this is where we will close. Did you know if the U.S. president reached out and offered help because we're in the diaspora, contributed millions into the U.S. economy? Not the president. I saw a news release from a Vincentian media house of one of the, I think it was a mayor in one of the cities in the U.S., reaching out assistance and letting them know that they were willing to help. I have not seen, I'm not saying he hasn't issued a a show of support. But I personally have not seen one from U.S. President Biden in relation to assistance, but I'm sure it would come. It will come. Because this is a story that has been covered internationally. The likes of BBC, Al Jazeera, Daily News have been covering the eruption, so I'm sure the information has gotten to our international countries and leaders that can offer assistance when they are able to. Thank you so much for tuning in to The Point. Appreciate it. If I think we're living in the end of times, I think it's always the end of time since the time began. It's God's knowledge when that end of time will actually take place. We just have to continue praying, trusting in Him, dedicating our lives to Him, repenting, and living as kingdom children and following in His footsteps. Don't wait until you hear end of time is tomorrow, please the Lord, and then you start to pray and repent. Start doing that now so that when it happens, we are all ready and walk into the kingdom. End of time started since the world started in Woyo Holong. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. I'll be back tomorrow morning, God willing. Have yourselves a good one. Continue to stay safe. A meteorologist that I follow on social media, Mr. Wayne Williams, also known as Bushy, he has advised that the ash fall that we were expecting in the Southern Caribbean to affect us overnight, it has lessened, dispersed. So it's less than we were expecting. We can expect some, but not as much as was predicted last night. So continue to wear your masks. Those of you with respiratory issues, our asthmatic patients and residents, walk with your pumps. In addition to volcanic ash, we have Sahara dust in our atmosphere as well. COVID-19 still in full force. We currently have 3 active cases. Yesterday, a ship carrying St. Vincent nationals came in. They all went into quarantine. I'm saying it one time. They all went into quarantine. And they will be there until further notice. Again, they are in quarantine. But let's continue to stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody. Bye-bye.